We ain't going to. I mean, we're going to Florida.
Yeah.
So you already know. Florida, via Miami Herald. Oh, this is a horrible story. I gotta stop. Teenage Mexican immigrant dies in ICE detention in Florida in presumed suicide. A 19-year-old Mexican man died on Monday of what authorities said was presumed suicide in Immigration and Customs and Enforcement detention. The agency announced, marking the 13th death nationwide this year. Just want to say presumed suicide. I feel like we already had this conversation where, didn't we have a story?
Yes.
Where the ICE agents were betting on who would kill themselves next.
Yep.
So, sure, that's not these things aren't happening in a vacuum, basically. Royer Perez-Jimenez was found unconscious and unresponsive by a detention officer at 2:34 a.m., according to the press release. The report states that after medical services attempts at resuscitation were unsuccessful, he was pronounced dead at 2:51 a.m. Since President Donald Trump returned to office, Perez-Jimenez is the 8th person to die in immigration detention, Florida. So far, over 40 people have died nationwide in ICE custody during the Trump administration. The death toll ranges from 2 men killed by an active shooter at an ICE office in Dallas to people who have died from natural causes. So far in March alone, at least 5 people have died while in ICE custody, according to a government press release.
Yeah. I mean, you brought up that was in Texas, the largest detention facility in the U.S., where those ICE officers were having bets on the next detainee to commit suicide. We're seeing, way too much of that. But also at the same time, we had the story of Gerardo Lunas Campos, the Cuban migrant who the ICE officers said took his own life. But then the autopsy came back and they said it was homicide. He did not take his own life. Then they had to come back in and say, oh no, he was trying to commit suicide and we were trying to stop him from committing suicide. And that's how we accidentally made it a homicide. And so, but regardless, either way, it's completely unacceptable. Whether or not the conditions are so bad that, 1, all these detainees are attempting suicide, and 2, succeeding in suicide, or the opposite, where the ICE agents are killing detainees and then framing them as suicides.
It's like the cruelty. This is like the cruelty administration. All of this is meant to, like, you creating conditions to where, what does that say about, like, your managerial? Like, why would we trust you as, like, a president when your managerial skills show that it leads to people just killing themselves? And I'm assuming that's like they want it this way. They want people to be like, yeah, you can stay here in this prison or you can kill yourself. And they create conditions to make people live like this. Day one, I don't know what. Obviously, I can't speak to what was going on through this kid's head. I'm sure it was nothing but the worst shit. Obviously, the worst shit imaginable for him. But I'll continue reading. Perez-Jimenez entered ICE custody on February 21st. The release states less than a month before his death. During his medical intake, the agency said he said no to all suicide screening questions and denied behavioral issues and concerns. The Miami Herald has requested the autopsy report from the medical examiner's office. Under the Trump administration, ICE has started focusing on the criminal histories of detainees as a part of their death announcements. Perez-Jimenez came into the United States in February 2022, the agency said, but he voluntarily returned to Mexico that same day after border authorities came across him. It is not known when he returned to the U.S. The Herald located court and police records matching the ICE notice for a man, city of Edgewater. I'm sorry, let me reread this. It is not known when he returned to the U.S. The Herald located court and police records matching the ICE notice for a man, city of Edgewater. I don't know if that's...
For a man in the city of Edgewater.
For a man in the city of Edgewater. Officers pulled over for crossing lanes while driving a scooter on January 21st. He sped away, and when police came across him again a short distance away, he stopped on the sidewalk. An officer ordered him to step off the scooter and sit on the ground, but it's unclear if he understood, as the officers later had to call for a translator. When Perez-Jimenez failed to get off the scooter, an officer attempted to escort the male subject to the ground. He tensed up and pulled away, the report said, and the officer attempted a leg sweep to take the subject to the ground. On the ground, Perez-Jimenez pulled away and put his hands under his body, the report said. The officers arrested him for resisting an officer without violence. During a later interview, Perez-Jimenez gave police a false name. He was charged with 2 misdemeanors for impersonating someone else and resisting an officer, according to the report. Another individual whom officers came across and who was dressed exactly the same as the first male, coming in from the same location, riding on the exact same make model scooter, was also arrested for giving cops a false name. That's crazy. The next day, on January 22nd, the Department of Homeland Security filed an immigration detainer requesting that Perez-Jimenez be released into ICE custody. The request noted him as posing a risk to national security, border security, or public safety.
So let's pause right here. So let's look at the extent of this kid's crimes that he's committed. Because, again, the Trump administration is really putting an emphasis here, like the article mentioned, of like when they announce a death, they mention the crimes, how to paint how dangerous these people are. And his crimes seem to be he was in the country undocumented. So, we all know that's
death penalty. Exactly.
So he was in the country undocumented. He was on a scooter and he lane changed illegally. Then when he was pulled over, he needed translation, couldn't understand the cops. And then when they were arresting him, they had to do a leg sweep and they had to pull his hands out from underneath him because he wasn't giving them his hands. And that seems to be it. Now this kid is dead. And
in the most case, that's like a weekend. I mean, I'm not gonna a weekend in jail, a week. I don't know what it's not. Doesn't seem like serious. They're all misdemeanors.
Yeah,
everything he got was a misdemeanor, and then he's dead.
And this is Florida. I forget the name, but we've talked about it on this podcast. How the Trump is offering this program for police departments across the country that essentially deputizes them as immigration officers. And 2/3 of the departments that have signed up for this are in Florida. So Florida is where we're going to see the most of this, police into ICE custody, police collaborating with ICE, and just things like this happening repeatedly again and again.
Yeah, and it's so evil to try to act to try to mention his crimes as if these are misdemeanors, as if they're not to justify his death. That's just so crazy. But
yeah.
The Glades County Sheriff, whose office operates the facility through a contract with ICE, declined to comment about Perez-Jimenez's death. The Glades County Sheriff Office started holding up to 500 immigrants for ICE under a contract with the agency in April 2025, 3 years after the Biden administration halted the contract, citing persistent and ongoing concerns about detainee health care. For years, activists had pushed the federal government to stop working with the facility to house immigrants.
Yep. I mean, sorry?
I was just saying RIP to Perez-Jimenez, man.
Yeah, 19-year-old kid. And again, as we've mentioned before, all these facilities are privately run. All of these ICE detainment facilities are managed for profit. Any sort of care or safety protocol, safety measure is viewed as a cost that should be cut in order to increase the profit margins. And so it's not really a coincidence. It's yes, as you mentioned, obviously deliberate cruelty is a factor, but another factor is just this how can we possibly make money off of this? Oh, we could privatize all these attainment facilities, and then any sort of safety measure becomes a cost that needs to be cut.
I still count that as under deliberate cruelty because I believe wholeheartedly capitalism is deliberate cruelty. There's nothing you can fucking the way capitalists make money is via they make profits by cutting. They'll cut whole workforces and they act like they just made profits. And it's you're cutting corners. They're making profits. They're cutting. I believe in order to maximize your capitalism, which is the goal of all these CEOs, to maximize their profits, they cut. They're cruel. That's the only way you get this amount of wealth, which I'm so always confused about the economy and money, because it's like, okay, you cut your workforce, you cut corners, you made society worse, you made everybody unemployed, you have all this money, and then they'll be like, if we don't make the exact same amount of overwhelming gains the next year, this business shuts down. Yeah. I'm like, you just made $890 billion last year, and yet because you didn't make $890 billion this year, the whole business needs to be bought out. I don't understand.
Yeah, they need to appease their investors that are giving them the capital to operate in the first place. So it's all like it's all these incentives that are the worst kind of incentives that result in like this endless growth, endless cost cutting, endless like further and further inequality. Like it gets worse and worse because of all this.
Not growth. It's like, I think growth is like the growth only in the terms of the numbers going up on the document, because you're just.
I don't mean growth in any sort of like three-dimensional way whatsoever.
That's what they define as growth, and it's like you're just carving out your businesses and the economy and basically America. That's your version of growth. It's not growth. You're just eating. I can't be like, oh man, I sell my arm and I made $200,000 and like I'm doing great. No, nigga, you didn't chopped off part. I don't understand.
How much would you sell your arm for?
Depends. I mean,
$200,000 is not enough.
Look,
but
my arm ain't the body part you want, right? We got more valuables. So I'm talking about my family jewels, folks.
All right, how much would you sell that for?
My balls? Interesting.
The most intriguing philosophical question posed on this podcast.
How much would you sell your balls for? That's a good question. Do I have to sell them as a pair? Do I have to make deals?
Yeah.
Could I sell one?
Pair.
What if one is more valuable than the other?
It's a 2-for-1 deal. You could call it a package deal.
Either way, you're getting shafted, all right?
Oh, there we go. There we go, folks.
Either way, you're getting the shaft. I'm getting
folks, we got a comedy podcast going right now.
Guys, you hear the wordplay? I said shafted, as in a penis shaft.